everybody, and welcome into the Irish Days podcast. Clive, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we're back. Me and Clive have done a couple of these now for a little bit of build up for the NFL. I think we've done all of the playoffs, haven't we?
We have done. That's why it's been fantastic. I'm assuming that I'm like number one on your viewer list now. It's just like everybody there.
Yeah.
Listen to Bestie talk nonsense, and to be fair, I've listened to Besties.
Yeah, the has been good. No, we've done okay. We've battered through a couple of these before. Obviously it's Super Bowl week, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. To anybody else that's tuning in, I think Vesty will have something out this week, I'd imagine.
Well,
Another one, like, just turn off the fan. Turn off the fan when you're in your car. But yeah, there'll be some stuff. This will be out at some point. I think I might throw this one out tomorrow. Yeah, this one will be out shortly. Vesty will have something at some point. Driving home from work, I'd imagine. And yeah, it's Super Bowl week, so we're going to talk a little bit about it. Clive's here, and we hope you enjoy it. Right.
Going very professional here. What's going on, Dave?
Absolutely.
I like the good old days when you had a notion what was going on.
Oh, lad, I still don't. I'm just kind of winging it and sort of getting a little bit better at every sort of step of the way. Right. Bucks at Chiefs then, or Chiefs at Bucks, really. To be fair,
Not really, it's the Bowl. It's neutral venue. Just happens to be the neutral venues in Tampa.
I was going to start off, lad, by talking a little bit about these two teams have obviously played each other this year. They played in week 12. It was in Tampa, if that's anything. And the Chiefs won 27-24, but that scoreline it was a little bit tighter than that scoreline sort of suggested a little bit.
27-24.
Yeah. Nah. What do you call it? It was the Chiefs came out sort of firing. I think they went 17-0 up in the first quarter.
Yeah, remember now.
Aye, Tyreek scored a 75 yard. He went pretty mental and scored a 75 yarder in the first quarter. Kansas also turned it over in the red zone in the second quarter. They had another possession early on in the game where I think it was the first actual drive of the game. Kansas went down the field and kicked a field goal, and they probably could have scored in it. Tyreek scored 2 in the first quarter. They could have had 3. It ended up being 17-0 by the end of the first. And then they turned it over in the red zone in the second quarter as well. So it was 20-7 at the half, and it could have been a lot worse.
Mm. Yeah. How relevant is it? That's the thing.
That's it.
I mean, Brady beat Breeze or lost to Breeze twice in the regular season. Now it's playoff time. Different game, different world.
It definitely is. Like, I mean, the
Bowl.
The playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There was a couple of big performances that day anyway. Brady was 27 of 41 with 345 yards, 3 TTs, and 2 picks. Gronk had 106 yards. Godwin had 97. Mike Evans had 50 yards but had 2 touchdowns. Pat Mahomes was 37 of 49, 462 yards.
462 yards.
Tyreek had 13 receptions for 269 yards and 3 TDs. And Kelsey was 8 for 82 yards. So Tyreek Hill went absolutely nuts. That's as far as where this game's going to be won and lost. That it's going to be the Bucs secondary trying to stop this Kansas City offense, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly think this could be. I know we're going to do score predictions later, but this could be about 45 each in overtime. Like, it's just mental. Yeah, I don't know. How you go about stopping either quarterback at this point is ridiculous. And it is 2 very good defenses, but they're both going to get shredded. So I don't know. Mahomes v. Brady. That in itself is a battle.
It is. Who can turn up more?
Do you want to know how close it is? This is the 5th time they've played like Mahomes v. Brady. There's some Pats games in there, obviously. It's 2 wins apiece. You know what the score differential is? In those games, Brady has put up 120 points. Mahomes has put up 121.
Jesus.
It's that level of tight. So I'm just looking forward to seeing those two go at it, because it will be those two at it. I know they'll obviously play directly opposite each other, but Mahomes has got that chip in his shoulder of I want to be Brady, doesn't he? Because he's 25 and he's in his second bowl, and Brady's on his 7th or whatever. He wants to prove that that's who he is, and there will be a battle between them, even if it's not directly on the field. That's a battle, and that's the bit I'm looking to see. I know you're saying like Brady against the Chiefs secondary, or Mahomes against the Bucs secondary, which is a bit banged up because Winfield got injured, didn't he? And what's the other bloke? Whitehead, is it? Whitehead. He's banged up, so you do not want to be playing against Pat with not a full strength team. That'll be interesting. Bigger battle for me is that Bucs defensive line against Pat.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you stop Pat? Because the obvious answer people will say is blitz him. Mahomes led the league against the blitz this year. His passer rating against the blitz was almost 100. Against the blitz. So don't blitz him.
No. But then you have to get home on him. Like, you have to put pressure on him, because if he's starting back there with all the time in the world, he's gonna just dissect that Bucs second. As you said, it's banged up for one thing, and then like it didn't stop this offense. Obviously in week 12 now, as you said, it's a completely different game and all that too. But it's a young secondary, especially back there, and you've got like Kelsey, like as the sort of stats show, Kelsey had a big day. He was 8 for 82, but it was the deep stuff that was causing them issues. And if you don't have like Antoine Winfield, I don't know the status of Antoine Winfield yet, but
which means he'll play, but he might not be 100%.
Yeah, that's going to be a nightmare. Tyreek Hill could really go nuts here. Like,
yeah,
there's nobody there unless you try and bracket him or something. But the way they move him all across the field, you can't really do that anymore. He's in the slot and all now so much. They're really happy with just getting the ball into his hands at any point in time and then letting him take off.
Yeah, well, even like that, the one, who's the game they played where they had the really tight one, and Mahomes went down and they had the other guy in, and they threw it to Hill. Yeah. Hill was the go-to. Like, we're in trouble, get him the ball. There's lots of that. Side note, that must be interesting. The injury report before the bowl. Physio coming in. Are you good to go? Aye, I'm grand.
I'm 100%.
Let's painkillers. Let's go.
The Bucs secondary is ranked 21st in the league this year.
It's not good.
It's not good. Like, and but the one thing is that the Bucs defense definitely has started to show up a little. They sort of started the season quite well. I think the pass rush was getting home a good bit, and then sort of in the middle part of the season, especially when around about the time where this game took place, that sort of middle third of the season, they sort of tailed off a bit. And then towards the back end of the regular season and into the playoffs, the Bucs defense has really stepped it up again. That pass rush has looked really, really good. Like Shaq Barrett had 3 sacks in the last game. JPP had 2 against A-Rod, who's similar to Mahomes in a way. He does they both can throw on the move. They both like to move about a bit.
I think Pat gets the ball out quicker, and that's important.
Well, that's a fair point, to be fair, but the Kansas offensive line is banged up.
Oh, massive, yeah.
So this, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, JPP, maybe a few blitzes from the likes of Devin White as well, Levante David. That we've been talking about that front seven of the Bucs all year. It's fantastic, but they really have to have a big game. And as you said, get home with maybe trying not to send too many people after him. Try and get home with 4. That's gonna be absolutely vital and key through the entirety of this game. Like,
yeah, I completely agree. On the subject of defenses and how do you stop Brady, who is the Kansas City defensive coordinator?
Oh, now I've went blank.
Steve Spagnuolo.
Oh, Spags. That's right. Spags is there.
There's one man that knows how to stop Brady. I know you're saying they're 20th ranked and all that kind of thing, but how bad was the Giants' D in 2007 whenever he was defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
And they were going for that undefeated season. He'll find a way. I have faith in him.
Yeah. That the Kansas City D is a weird one. It's got a little bit of that Belichick where it's sort of bend but don't break, but they have a good system. They have their defensive line's been quite good this year. Chris Jones has got 8 sacks, and Frank Clark's got 6. And Natty's been good too in their stuff on the run a little bit. He's had a good season as well. So the defensive line's good without being great. It's kind of half decent with generating pressure, and that's kind of, again, you don't really want to send too many people after Brady. You kind of want your front four to get there.
Oh, do you though?
Yeah.
No, that Brady against the blitz is I would blitz him. I'd go all day, and you know what? He'll get a couple, but risk it. You can't go conservative. You can't sit back and let him beat you and not hit him.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, I would say that they'll dial up some stuff. Like they play, like Kansas pretty much play out of the nickel within the entirety of their scheme or whatever. So they pretty much play out of the nickel. I'll say there'll be some cornerback blitzes coming off the edge and stuff of that nature too. But the thing is that they can get home a little bit with that front four, and Brady in this game threw 2 picks in week 12, and they were getting home, and he was having to rush. There was one big completion. I think it was in the third quarter. It was 3rd and 15, and he chucked one up just like a hope and a prayer to Godwin. They end up gaining 60 odd yards, but there was people all over him, and there was a few times he threw two. One interception wasn't really that bad, but the other one was definitely caused by pressure.
If I'm going to look at Brady, it's him throwing a miracle ball with 4 people hanging off him. That's the only way it's happening. I'm not just going to sit back and watch it.
That's what I like. They're good at generating pressure. Kansas City up front, at least a little bit, and they kind of try and force you into making a quick decision, and then they have ball hawks on the back end.
Yeah, Matthew.
They've got Honey Badger there, Breland and Snead like the ball as well. They're darting all over the place. It's bend but don't break, but they're a little bit risk it for a biscuit too,
Yeah. Well, the thing you've got to always think about with Kansas City's defense, and you're never going to do like a fantasy draft and take their defense first, because they concede a lot of points, but they concede a lot of points because they're up a lot of points and teams just have to fire it at them, and that's why Matthew and Breland, that kind of thing, that's why they get all the interceptions, because teams are just throwing it constantly against them. So it's one of those where actually I think this time you can't read too much into the stats, and you can't read too much into that, because it's a one-off game, it's the playoff. I fully expect Brady to put up points against them. Yes, he will. Who's going to put up more points?
That's kind of nearly entirely what it comes down to, doesn't it?
See if this ends up in 10-0.
I highly doubt it. It'll be as good as you can get for a Super Bowl without being indoor. It'll be Tampa Bay, Florida, in probably mild enough conditions, and it'll be fine, I'd imagine, as far as the weather or anything having an impact and making it a low scoring game. But what do you call it? The Bucs can run the football.
They've got a good run. Yeah, got
a good run. Leonard Fournette down the sort of stretch of the end of the regular season and then into the playoffs has really took a step forward. And then Ronald Jones has played himself out of that sort of injury, that niggle that he had now, and came back the last week or so and played good in spots.
Yeah.
Kansas can't run the football, but as it sort of showed by this game in week 12, even then they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell in that game, but they still dropped back 49 times. So it's not like losing the running game here is going to really make a massive difference, I wouldn't think.
No, I think I do like of the two, I would definitely take Tampa Bay's rushing offense, definitely, with Fournette and Rojo. The only slight criticism I would have with them is that they're not good at receiving it. Like, they're brilliant running it, but as receiving backs go, they're not great. And when you've got Brady, who can't scramble, if you get pressure on him, the sort of little dump-off pass isn't really something they're going to do. It isn't something they're going to do a lot of. So that's why I'd be just keep hitting Brady. And if they're running, fair enough, but just keep hitting Brady, and you've got half a chance.
The run game's kind of you should watch that video I did or whatever podcast that I did last week. I was sort of talked about the sort of death of the run game a little bit in it. But in Super Bowls, this is another sort of thing I wanted to get onto, but in Super Bowls at least a little bit, sometimes just being able to hand it off and sort of control the tempo a little bit and sort of ease yourself into the game can be a thing. And Kansas kind of don't have that at all. Kansas's offense is just sort of 100 mile an hour.
Let's go for it. That's why it's good to watch. Well, interesting you say that. Here's your stat that's going to make you go, huh? For the day. Brady's been to, 6 Super Bowls already?
No, he's won 6.
Oh, sorry.
He's been to 9. This is his 10th, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been to 9 then, right? He has never, in any of those games, led his team to a first quarter touchdown.
Fuck.
I was like, that can't be right. There's no way. That's true. He's never led them to a touchdown in the first quarter. So what you need to do if you're Kansas City is get 17 points in the board in the first quarter. Make it a cakewalk. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be that easy, but there'll be no handing it off early and just build your way into the game. Let's just do it.
Well, that's a crazy stat, to be fair. Although, as you know, this is one of the most. This is an offense that Brady has around him now. That's probably one of the best he's ever had as far as weapons has gone.
Yeah.
But that's a crazy. Like in the game in week 12, they did jump out to a 17-0 lead, and Kansas looked comfortable, real comfortable throughout the entirety of the game. You know, that was one of the big things that I was gonna sort of say as far as the Bucs and their attempt to win this or whatever. You can't fall behind by a couple of scores here.
But if there's one team that could fall behind by a couple of scores and do it anyway, it's them.
Oh, no, well, that is true. Like, I mean, the Tampa Bay could make a comeback, but they couldn't. If you fall behind, 14-0 or something here, you're gonna have them boys on the back end for Kansas's defense, and they're gonna get one. Like they're gonna get Brady at least on one TD if he's having to sling it about from early on.
Yeah. I'll definitely Tampa can't afford to get too far behind.
No.
I mean, they could, in theory, work it back. Because the thing is, Kansas City aren't great at leading because they can't run it. They can't just kill clock and keep them off. They've just got to keep doing it. I wonder how Tampa are going to win it. And I think the way Tampa win it is by running the ball really well, and consistently being clinical in the red zone is the best way of doing it, and then finding some road to try and slow down Pat.
Yeah, that will be an option. You could think of maybe try and manage the clock a little, try and keep the Chiefs offense on the sideline for a bit, and teams have tried to do that before. It's just that they're that quick strike. It's difficult, but it's whether or not Bruce Arians would sort of fully commit to something like that. Bruce is as bad as Andy Reid as far as chucking the ball all over the place, to be fair as well. It's going to be, as you said at the very beginning, it could literally come down to something as simple as like which of these two quarterbacks plays a cleaner game or has the better game, because defensively both teams have their strengths and weaknesses. Like, yeah,
interesting. They've got fans in. They announced it today, didn't they? So they're allowing 25,000 fans in, so it'll actually feel a bit like a game, which will be weird. But I think that'd be far better, wouldn't it? Just have something going on with the crowd.
Does it make a difference? Does it make a difference, Brady being at home?
No. No, not at all.
But you would imagine that 20,000 fans or 22,000 fans or whatever it is that's sort of being dumped into the stadium there, you would imagine that they're not from cross state, so it's going to be Floridians, like.
Yeah,
And I would imagine that most of them are going to be Tampa Bay. It's not going to be a sort of even split in a neutral venue.
Yeah, but have you ever been to a stadium? I remember going to Twickenham many, many years ago to watch the varsity rugby match between Oxford and Cambridge. Twickenham is 80,000 seater stadium, and I was there when there was 40,000 people in it, and it may as well have been empty. It just the atmosphere wasn't there. It's not the same thing.
I don't know, whoever's idea that was to like hand out them big sheets of like metal or whatever the hell they were in Lambeau the other week, and the people were just like walloping the shit out of the sort of barriers in front of them. That made noise.
Yeah, true.
Whoever, that's the Glazers. The Glazers should be all over that. Hey, they should be handing them out on the way in. Make as much noise as humanly possible. Right. Scoreline. What are we thinking, Clive?
Like it's anything, absolutely anything. It'll be close, but like, is it 17-14 close, or is it 50 apiece? I'm gonna go conservatively 38-35. That's the Chiefs. And I know you're gonna say I've spent this every single podcast I've backed against Brady, and I'm not about to change my mind.
Do you know what? I haven't been too bad. There was a couple of the early wildcard rounds that I got wrong, but I haven't been too bad as far as picking this playoffs. You know,
you were bad early on, but you got there eventually. I'll give you that.
The first round I whiffed on a couple, but from then on it was quite good. Like you've gotten worse as the picks have went on. What did you say? 38?
35, I reckon. Yeah.
38, 35.
3 points in it. Like there's nothing in this. Overtime would not be a surprise.
I have 2 scores in my head.
What, one for each team?
Oh, there you go. I was either thinking 34-30 or 30-27, and I don't know which. I'll go 34-30. I think that just it being the Super Bowl and maybe just a little bit more conservative than racking up, over 70 odd points or whatever,
We'll see. What about, I was thinking of this earlier today, somebody who nobody's talking about at the minute as being like having a major player, having a major impact in the game, somebody that's obviously not Brady or Pat or Tyreek Hill or Mike Evans. Who do you reckon could be like the secret weapon, as it were, that's going to have a big game? It always happens. Every bowl, there's somebody that will go, he's going to get himself a massive contract off the back of this game.
First 2 that popped to my head, if you're sort of not thinking of the key players, would be Mecole Hardman or Scotty Miller. Special teams there. Mecole likes to return punts.
He likes to drop it as well.
He did drop, but he did make up for it. He's a bit of a game breaker, and Scotty Miller is a bit of a game breaker as well.
I was Scotty Miller down. I was thinking him.
I'll go 34. I've backed Brady the whole way through, and I think I'm going to flip here.
What?
Yeah.
What is going on?
I have backed Brady the whole way through. Right. This is one sort of last talking point, and then we'll talk a wee bit about something else. But Brady's the only one, really, as far as the Bucs have went, that's been there before.
Yeah. I'm just thinking.
The Chiefs were there last year and won. That entire roster was there last year.
Yeah.
The Bucs, like, has Bruce Arians? I don't think Bruce Arians has ever been to a Super Bowl, has he? Or was he there as an offensive coordinator for maybe Big Ben, or maybe was that after it? I can't remember.
I don't think he has been.
I don't think he's been. He's definitely not been there as a head coach.
Yeah.
And this is his first rodeo at it. All the players, like, the likes of, say, Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek, some of the players in the defense, Honey Badger, whoever else you want to talk about, a lot of them guys were there last year and won. They know all about Super Bowl week. Like, as experienced as Brady is, and even more experience than anybody that Kansas City have. Kansas City's roster's more experienced than the Bucks. Like Mike Evans has never been here. Chris Godwin, they could be a wee bit more prone to slower starting and nerves, whereas Kansas could come out. Kansas could come out flying.
Yeah, but you say Super Bowl week and all that kind of thing. No Pro Bowl, obviously. What did you think of the lack of Pro Bowl?
I couldn't care less, really.
Yeah, what a load of nonsense. Could not care less.
No, I don't even know what they should do for it anymore.
Fixed in the NFL. Nobody cares about it. It's a waste of time because people don't know what's the difference between All Pro and being in the Pro Bowl, and what's the point in having it if everybody going to the Super Bowl is not playing anyway, and nobody cares about it.
I don't know. Should you just play like a flag football game and make it a smaller sided teams or something, and like maybe make like a wee competition out of it or something? You know, like arena football or something maybe for.
I would rather watch that. I like they do like the skill challenges and that kind of thing. All that stuff's great. Love that. Brilliant. But the actual game, nobody wants to get injured. So nobody goes full pelt.
No.
It's boring. No one cares who wins. What's the point?
I think something like a little bit of arena football, shorter pitch. Yeah. Like smaller arena football essentially. Play flag football, arena football, and maybe make like instead of the AFC team and the NFC team, maybe you have just a neutral thing, and like the NBA's changed it up a little bit this year or this last couple of years. That they haven't had the East versus the West. They've had you draft your team, so you get a captain, and then the two captains, I think it was LeBron and Giannis, and then they draft their players. So there's like a little draft element involved. They'll go down and pick their roster. Maybe if you had like a four teams in it, every quarterback then has more game time. You have like a wee draft or something, and it's a wee small-sided game or something.
It'd be quality if you did it as a small-sided thing and had it as like a little mini tournament type thing where you had about 4 teams and still have your like all-pro team and announce it and that kind of thing. But just that this is something slightly different, all the challenges in it, bit of a laugh.
Aye. Right. So you've So you've picked the Chiefs. I think I'm picking the Chiefs as well. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. I think that they've been here before, and I think I just really don't trust anything in that secondary trying to stop Tyreek Hill and Mahomes.
No.
You could, any other time you could be like, well, maybe they'll slow him down a little bit, but if that secondary's banged up a little and Tyreek's on the field, that trifecta of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill this season has been virtually unplayable.
There's plenty of good arguments for the Bucs winning it, and I can hear them. And if me and you are both backing the Chiefs, then everyone needs to get the money in the Bucs because it's nailed on. I just think it's got to be. I
trust the Chiefs have been there before. They know what they're doing, and the Bucs. Like, you can maybe see, I don't know, say somebody like Mike Evans, maybe, the way you always see it in the game, somebody that always happens, somebody's like a little bit nervous and they drop a ball they shouldn't, and he wouldn't normally drop that or something along those lines, whereas the Chiefs are there and they've been there before. Right.
I'll tell you what I would be happy with. Last thing I'll be really happy with. Imagine the headline the next day after Antonio Brown has put up 200 yards and walked off the field. Could you imagine, or just like the play, because there's always the play, isn't there? And every Super Bowl there's one. If that's him, that's just brilliant. If that happened, I'm happy with Brady winning it. Not a problem.
Look, I really haven't got a dog in the fight. I like Mahomes and I like Brady. And I wouldn't mind seeing either one of them win it. I just think that the Chiefs might. But I transitioned into the last thing. This is where I sort of wanted to round up at. We've both picked the Chiefs, so we'll start there. What legacy stuff here? Mahomes in his 3rd season beats the GOAT, wins his 2nd Super Bowl at the age of 25, has probably another 15 years left. He's got 2 rings. And they've went back to back. What a hell of a start. Retire.
Just get out. Go full Andrew Luck, but actually win something. What do you say? It's passing the torch, isn't it? It's the guy that's going to dominate the league for the next 20 years.
That's the That's the narrative, like, isn't it? That's the headline. If Kansas win it and Mahomes is a big day, it's passing of the torch and all that carry on too. Like,
what do you do if you're Brady though?
You go again.
3 years of age and you win it.
See, there's not too much to get into on the legacy side for Kansas City because it's only just beginning really. It'll be interesting to see down the line when the likes of maybe Tyreek and Kelsey age out a little because they are phenomenal talents, to be fair. But it'll be interesting as far as there will be a sort of rebuild in this team, you'd imagine, at some point where Mahomes has like a 2 or 3 year period probably where he, maybe doesn't even make a Super Bowl. But it's a hell of a start to a career. Like, he's literally passed the likes of Drew Brees, Brett Favre. He's level with Peyton Manning straight off the bat. He's right into GOAT talk, and he's right on the track because, like, he'll obviously he'll have stopped Brady winning another one. So he'll be trying to catch that man down. Like, the interesting stuff is on the other side of it. Like, if Brady wins a 7th ring, and first year in a different team, first team to play in a home Super Bowl and win, then everything that happened in New England, or at least the majority of what went down in New England, has to be credited at least more to him than it was to Bill.
That's even I can't deny that Brady's the GOAT and all that kind of thing, because he is, and he's taken them back to a bowl. And even if he gets beat, I think he's still proven the point, hasn't he? Whether he wins the game or not, if he falls one game short or one win short, fair enough. But if he does win it, that's different. That's completely different. I think I just don't understand why you have left to play for, like, other than just make his record completely untouchable.
He loves it though.
He fucking
loves it. I know that there was like crazy theories out there about 3 or 4 years ago, like Brady wants to play at least past 45 and stuff, and you could never really see it. You were just like, right, at some point, surely at some point there's gonna be a dip, and you're just gonna be like, right, well, that's the end of it, and it'll not be his decision. It'll be made for him, sort of thing. He looks fucking fine.
Thing is, like, he'd play for nothing. He wouldn't care. No. Play for absolutely nothing, just to win rings.
His drive and mentality's absolutely ridiculous. Like I mean, at 43, like as I said in one of the videos, like he's playing with people that he played with in college, sons now.
Yeah.
And it's like he's 43. He's 40. Like he's gonna be in his mid 40s here by the time he jacks this carry on in. And if he wins a ring at 43, having left and even all the stuff around, like, that's all going to be factored into the stuff around, like, he moved from New England in a COVID season where he had no off season, no preseason, limited training camps, all that, and that's all going to be trotted out and just laid out in front. And I don't know.
I just hope that whenever he decides to pack it in, whenever that is, I do hope it's his own decision. Like, how grim would it be, even if, let's say, he wins this and comes back next year to try and do it all again, and then he ends up getting done, like, serious injury, career ending, game over. That would be horrific.
What is the odds then that, one, the Bucks do win this, but do you think there would be any chance of a curveball from him where he retired after the game?
No. No. I think he'd go full Belichick. I think somebody'd be up there congratulating him on how well he's done, and he'll just go, we're on the next year. And just start talking about he's got week 1. Just straight in it. Like, I just don't think he'd be bothered.
Aye. But it doesn't feel like he wants to retire or he's anywhere close to being done. Like,
I think he'll do this year and he'll do next year. Like, regardless of what happens, he'll do this year, next year, and I think at that point he'll go, well, that's 44. That'll do.
Aye, it's nuts. His legacy would be just 7 rings. He got there 10 times, and he won one at 43, which would just it would nearly and the fact that and the fact that he would have beaten you know the incumbent basically.
Yeah, it's harder for Pat if he loses this one, I think. And although he's got more opportunities to go win it again, like this is a big moment for him, really.
Yeah. Right. So even though we've both picked Chiefs to win, which narrative would you prefer? The passing of the torch narrative, it's Brady over to Mahomes. Mahomes is going to be the next great for the next 15 years, even though we kind of already know that. But
Man's got a 10-year contract.
Yeah. Even though we kind of know that anyway about how great he is, like he's went back-to-back bowls now and stuff. Would you prefer that narrative or the Brady 7-ring narrative and all the stuff that would come with it?
I'd rather the 7-ring narrative. I'd rather he did it. That'd be the story.
I think I'd agree with that.
I'd love to see him just like take the mic at the end. Whenever they go like, "Oh, you just won the Super Bowl. How do you feel?" I'd just love him to just like go deadpan down the camera and just go, "Hi, Bill," and just leave it. Oh, that would be the greatest. And I love Bill, but I just love to see that moment.
The absolute dream, and it's probably too far away at this point. The absolute dream would be somehow Bill quickly regenerates this roster, but he needs a quarterback. That's the issue, and they met in the Super Bowl. That would be the one. That'd be the one.
Yeah, that or if Brady wins it and goes again next year, and then Pat has him next year, that would be quite good. But I think the Pats are too far away at this point.
I think so, but I think that they've got a lot of pieces coming back. I think that the defense will be better, and then they'll probably grab a quarterback. But it's just they're too. Unless Brady plays at least fucking 50. Which is more possible than you would think at this point.
Mental.
Like there's not even a dip in arm strength or anything either, which is stupid.
His deep ball's been the best bit of his game this year.
It doesn't make any sense. Like Drew Brees' arm fell off. Peyton Manning's arm fell off. Even Brett Favre, who had a friggin' bullet of an arm, his took a dip, at age 40. Playability we need to start yoga, I think is what.
What a yoga. It's brilliant. I still can't throw the ball any further, but yoga.
Well, fair enough. Right. That'll do us then, folks. Cheers for coming on, Clive.
You're welcome, lad.
Hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's just I'll extract the audio from this and throw it on to the podcast streaming sites. And then we'll have the video on YouTube as well. So if you're a YouTube watcher or whatever, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, all that carry on. And keep downloading in all the podcast apps as well. Greatly appreciated.
Anybody in the YouTube page, I just want loads of comments about Dave's hair. That's all I want. Interested in anything else?
It got cut eventually. It was badly needed. That'll do. Keep tuned in. Vesty will have something this week, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Vesty.
And for the love of God, just turn off the fan heater. Turn it off. But yeah, there'll be more stuff. There'll probably be our Instagram will probably be plastered with stuff over the next few days with the Super Bowl coming up and that. And I'll let you go, Clive, because I know that United are playing, and you're all going to fall apart, and that's the end of it.
Absolutely looking forward to it. Yeah.
Right. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks. Cheers.